I'm asked all the time, can I have alcohol as an intermittent faster, or do I personally drink as an intermittent faster? And the answer to both those questions is I treat alcohol like I treat any other food or beverage. If I like it and I want it, I allow myself to have it. Obviously, I'm not speaking to someone that might have an issue with drinking and controlling quantities. I'm talking about, is it allowed in the intermittent fasting eating window? I personally don't have anything on my do not consume list unless it's something I simply don't like. And I do like to have alcoholic beverages on occasion. I will say I am not a huge drinker, so I am able to successfully implement it. I drink maybe 1 or 2 drinks a week maximum. So I am more likely to drink if we have people over. I like to drink when we're entertaining, more of a social drinker. Or if we go out to eat and they have a specialty beverage, or if it's Mexican, I do really love getting margaritas. So drinking is something that I really enjoy on occasion. So it's not something that I struggle with having in a daily eating window. I don't have wine every single night like some people do, for instance, or a nightcap. That's never been something that I have. So as you consider including alcohol in your eating window, here are some things that I think you should consider. One, is it gonna cause you to have a longer eating window? I know personally this is something that I would battle. If I have alcohol in my eating window, I'm more likely to snack, to extend my eating window, and it's more likely that I'll have more than 1 drink if I'm already drinking. Unless it's a large beverage, I usually have 2, maybe 3, and by nature of more, I'm going to have a longer eating one. And for me personally, one way that I really find weight loss and maintenance easy is I have shorter eating windows. And drinking naturally makes them longer, so it's counter to my goals, but it's worth doing every once in a while. Something to consider. The next thing, can you have it on some eating windows and not every single day? I personally am not someone that needs to drink frequently. But if drinking at all makes you want to drink every day, it's going to be really hard to reach your goals. And I think that's something to consider. Can you do it selectively and not have it be a part of your everyday window? Also, does including drinking make you make poorer choices? So, for example, if you have a couple beers at night, are you more likely to reach for a snack that is worse for you than if you weren't drinking that evening? I know I do snack a lot more, and not only does that creep my window, make it longer, but it makes me eat things that I probably wouldn't include in my window as regularly if I'm drinking. So that is something else to consider. Consider your goals and what having an alcoholic beverage is going to do to your food choices. If I have a high calorie, sugary drink, it doesn't replace anything. It's just an addition to everything else that I eat. I know it's not gonna fill me up. It's not gonna replace anything. It's just additional. It's basically me consuming additional items on top of everything else that I would eat. So even if I eat a donut, it still fills me up and I'm not eating something else. But if I have a margarita and I have those 700 calories, it's probably making me more hungry. And that's the point that actually Jen Stevens makes in her book, Fast, Feast, Repeat. I love that book. I definitely recommend it to anyone on the intermittent fasting journey. But she points out that alcohol has a tendency to make you hungrier. I know that when I drink, I am more likely to snack and not really pay attention to how much I'm eating or portions. And even though I don't have limits or restrictions, I still have a conscience. So I won't down an entire bag of chips quite the same way that I would if I were drinking. Because once I get a drink, especially since I don't drink very often, it doesn't take a lot for me to feel uninhibited with drinking. You guys know I'm all about including everything in my eating window, but that doesn't mean in all quantities at all times. And I'm still cognizant of how my choices affect my weight goals. And finally, I think this one is really important. How do you feel the day after drinking? So if you drink and then the next day fasting is really hard, that might be a sign to you that it's not good for your body. I know personally when I eat lots of sugar, the next day of fasting is harder on me. I'm more likely to want to open my window. I crave sweets more, and that makes it harder to continue the fasting lifestyle if I'm making choices regularly that are counter to fasting. I personally find it harder to fast the day after drinking, so I don't know if it's because the drinks that I choose tend to be higher in sugar and very sweet, so that makes me crave more sweets or crave eating earlier the following day, but that's something to consider. If drinking makes it harder for you to fast, it may not be something you want to include regularly or at all. Personally, when I do drink, I just kind of know the next day the fast is going to be a little harder to get through, and I deal with it, but I don't drink regularly enough where it really feels like it impedes on my fasting regimen. So I know my weight loss goals are, for me personally, going to be much easier to maintain if I'm not drinking, because as I mentioned, it doesn't take away anything else that I'm eating. It just adds calories in. And while I don't count calories, I know that drinking frequently is just adding to my consumption, which means that fat and stored fuel is going to be accessed much slower when I'm drinking. So it is not something that I prioritize. I'd rather eat more than drink more. I'm really curious in the comments. As a community, we learn a lot from each other. I'd be interested to hear how you guys implement drinking or not drinking in your intermittent fasting lifestyle. So let me and the others know below. And if you want to see my signature drink that I offer at our pool, I developed this last summer, I tweaked it a little bit, and I'm excited to offer it to my guests. You can check out this video right here. Thank you so much for watching. Ciao, Donna, ciao.